Hi everyone, my name is Ricardo Mendoza. I'm a software developer from Mexico and this is my channel, Code Widget. In this channel, I will be sharing useful information on web development and programming in general. And I will also be sharing some working experiences and learning experiences, like in this video, where I want to talk with you about my study plan for the 100 Days of Machine Learning Challenge. I will also be sharing some useful resources that I've already used and that I plan to keep using throughout the challenge. So, if you're starting to learn machine learning or you plan on starting learning it, this video might be useful. So, let's get started. Okay, so I've already started the challenge about a week ago, and the first thing I did was watch the course How to Get Started with Machine Learning by Santiago to have a clearer idea on how to get started with this field. Now, Santiago is a master of machine learning. If you don't know him, I truly recommend you go out and check his Twitter profile. He often shares a lot of useful information on the topic. So I will leave the link to his Twitter profile and to this course I've taken by him on the description below. Now, on this course, he recommends taking a rather practical approach to machine learning and go problem first instead of theory first. Be very practical. And he also mentions something that I had in mind even before getting started with machine learning. He says that if you're like me, that I have programming background already. I come from web development. Instead of thinking to switch from what I do right now into machine learning, into becoming, for example, a data scientist, instead of that, try to learn machine learning as much as you can from that field and incorporate it to what you already do. That is what I actually want to do with this challenge and with machine learning in general. I don't want to quit making systems, developing web applications and mobile applications, but I rather want to learn as much as I can from machine learning and little by little incorporate it into my work. So, having this in mind, and with this first week that I've already spent on the challenge, I've come up with a plan where I want to focus on three main things. I want them to be like 3 steps or 3 stages that I want to cover throughout the challenge. So, let's check out what those 3 aspects are. So, the first thing I want to cover with this challenge is mathematics. I want to make a quick review of all the fundamental concepts of mathematics used on machine learning. Because when I start working with models and with machine learning algorithms, I don't want them to be like a black box that I don't know how they work. On the other hand, I don't want to dive like deeper into the very core concepts and the very core details of how everything works. I just want to have like a general understanding of how those algorithms and those models work. So I do want to first have this review of the fundamentals of mathematics used for machine learning. Now, for this, here's my second recommendation, my second resource that I will be using for this part. The first one was the How to Get into Machine Learning course by Santiago, mentioned before. The second one is the book Mathematics for Machine Learning. I forgot the name of the authors, but I will leave them in the description below. And I will also leave you the link to the website where you can download a free copy of the book on PDF. Or if you're like me and you prefer to have a physical copy of the book, I will also leave a link to Amazon where you can buy it. So this is the first thing I want to cover. Let's move on to the second one. So the second topic I want to cover with this challenge is Python. Now, I've mentioned that I'm already a programmer and I've actually used Python before. I use it a lot for web development with frameworks like Django and Flask. But I want to use this second stage or second step on the challenge to sharpen my skills on Python, to go and learn more advanced topics of the language like closures, the use of lambdas and hashability, for example, concepts that I don't use that much or I haven't used at all so far, and that may come handy for data analysis and for machine learning. So this first point I want to cover is learning like those more advanced topics, and a second point I want to cover on this stage on Python is getting familiar with the libraries used for machine learning. You know, libraries like pandas, like NumPy, like Matplotlib. Those libraries I've heard the names, I know the names, but I haven't used them before. So I want to maybe make some exercises to start using them and getting familiar with them, so that when I start properly working on machine learning models or machine learning algorithms, I have like the basics or the fundamentals on how they work. So this second stage might be like a little bit shorter because I already know how to program, but I do want to cover these topics on Python before moving on into the third thing I want to cover. Now, surprisingly enough, the last thing I want to do with this challenge is finally dive into the machine learning fundamentals. And I want to do it this way because by the end of this challenge, I hope that I've developed a habit of dedicating time to learning machine learning. So even if I finish the 100 days of the challenge, I want to go beyond and keep learning, keep that learning habit. So yes, the last thing I want to do is actually learn the machine learning fundamentals. Here I will be starting with the very basics like linear regression, logistic regression, classification, and these basic topics, and little by little move into more advanced topics like deep learning and neural networks. So yeah, I want by this point, as I've mentioned before, to have this habit of learning machine learning, so that even if I finish the challenge, I can continue with my learning and little by little start incorporating that to what I currently do. Now, for this last part, for finally getting into machine learning, I will be using a book I recently bought, and it's called The Hands-on Machine Learning. I will also leave the name of the authors and the link to where you can buy it on Amazon on the description below. So, yep, that is what I want to cover with the 100 Days of Machine Learning Challenge.